Sorry.
Go for it. Just share your screen.
Yep. Okay. All right. So when I went into like where you were here, is it? I don't think it's fine that it says this.
No. So
Yeah.
now go to
Not.
Drive. My Drive.
Yeah, and it's right here.
Perfect.
Lesson.
So yeah, so just right click on that one intro to image classifier because you don't care about so that's the path to the file you're in. You care about
Yeah.
the path to the lesson folder you're in. So right click on that
Gotcha. So
one.
it's the whole folder.
Yeah, so copy
Okay.
path for that bad boy. Put that in, and then that should make it all work.
Wait. Sorry. Yeah, I copied it and then it didn't.
Might just need a command
It's
V.
not a paste. Yeah. Shouldn't you just like right click and say paste?
Just try Command V probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Sorry.
Good.
Nice.
All right, we're in. So you've already done that. Try
Yeah,
that
but
one.
it did it to like a local variable because it wasn't working before. Yeah. Okay. So then, okay, I should be fine now.
Cool. Now you should be able to just work through it.
Is it possible to see the like underlying code behind like image classifier and like the other stuff in caispp?
Yeah. So if you go to, if you search pypi.org, So that's where like all the packages are housed. Python package index, PYPI, and then you search caispp. I'm not sharing my screen, but I'm doing this with you. That has all of that, and then if you click on the GitHub stars, you can get back into the actual caispp folder, which then has all of your info. It's pretty much, it just makes it does all the pre-processing work that you guys are gonna like learn to do over the semester just for you. So you have to write a lot less boilerplate Python code to like load your images and pre-process your images and load a model and all that stuff. And I mean, that's sort of like your main goal of the semester is to be able to write a package exactly like this. That sort of just makes it easier for someone else to use AI or ML, and that's, we'll get there. Has everyone gotten through that slide, or not the slide, the rest of the collab?
Almost. My internet's just not the best where I am, so it's just taking longer.
Take your time.
All right. Cool. So I think like, yeah, hopefully you guys sort of have a rough understanding of what's going on here, just like creating a classifier. One thing that you'll learn in the next week, but it's worth mentioning here. So Ritter talked a little bit about a binary classifier. That's like a yes or no, a 1 or a 0. If it's not like what we're doing, where there's pretty much 3 or more different types of things, that's called categorical. So like this is a categorical classifier with 3 classes. So you usually use a letter like K. So in this case, it's K equals 3. But like you can keep moving up. Like if you look in the where it says in the classifier equals image classifier data set, it says downloading data from, and then there's a bunch of like a really long file path. The important part there is Inception v3. Inception v3 is a pretty, I wouldn't say famous model, but it was like the state-of-the-art model of 2017. And it was trained on something called ImageNet, which is categorical classification with 1,000 different classes. So like 1,000 different like tree, cat, dog, everything. So when you use another image classifier, like this one that you've used to only classify 3 things, could realistically classify 1,000 things. So yeah, categorical classification. There's a it's also worth mentioning that there's a different loss function that you'll learn about, binary classification versus categorical classification. And so just something to keep in mind going forward, because we'll jump into that more in the next few lectures. So that's sort of all we've got for today. We have some like homework, but do you guys have any questions about this collab in general or the semester in general before we jump into what next week is going to look like?
I'm sorry, I was a pain today, you guys.
All right.
Don't
So are we
apologize.
on the like the deeper mechanics behind it in the future weeks?
Say that again.
So are we going to talk about like the mechanics and the stuff behind this code?
Yeah. So actually, we can give you just a quick run over of what the semester is realistically going to look like. So if you go back into that, back into your Drive folder of the fall curriculum into the lessons, you can sort of see the rough like list of things we're going to do. So this was the first week, intro. Next week we go into classification. So we're going to look at linear and logistic classifiers, which are both considered machine learning, but not really deep learning. And that's going to give you some good intuition of sort of what's going on and sort of the math behind it. After that, we jump into neural networks. We're going to start with coding. So like, what does it look like? How do you realistically run it? And then the fourth one is theory. So you guys are going to sort of learn like, how does it actually work? And that'll be a fun one because we get to do back propagation by hand, which is sort of the closest thing CAIS has to hazing. It's just not fun and it takes a while, but it's an important part of learning. It's nothing like that was a bad joke. So you sort of like learn about basic neural networks in weeks 3 and 4, and then we're going to look at some specific ones. Week 5 is convolutional neural networks, which is how you create an image classifier. So that Inception v3 is actually a convolutional neural network, and you sort of understand how it can tell what's sand and what's ocean. Week 6 is RNNs, so recurrent neural networks, which is sort of like how we look at time series or like videos. Shoot, I see that raised hand.
Oh yeah. I actually had a question about, so you know how like the fall semester ends early?
Mm-hmm.
Is CAIS going to continue for the full length of this, what a full semester would be?
I think we're on schedule to be done pretty close to the end of normal schedule.
I think you're right. I'm pretty sure we end like maybe right before finals or.
Oh, okay.
There's a calendar.
Yeah. Somewhere.
Yeah, we end the week of November 12th.
So yeah, we will end before then, and then we'll start. Like if there will be stuff over that winter break if you want, but also if you want to just get away, that's also totally possible. So yeah, week 6 was RNNs, so like time series. How can we look at videos and that sort of stuff that have like a time element? And then week 7 is GANs, generative adversarial networks, and so that's sort of like a more abstract, theory-heavy, but really cool application of neural networks. And I'll send you guys some examples of what they can do in action, because that's one of like the coolest things, and that's sort of the work that I do in my spare time. Did you add everyone into the the Slack channel?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. If people are not in it, let me know. But I think I got everyone.
Great. So yeah, there's a Slack channel within our like CAIS Slack, and it's just all of us here. So I'll be spamming you guys with links of cool stuff to look at and just general information about the week or whatever is happening. So yeah, that's sort of what, and then, so yeah, that's week 7, and then we're gonna have a final project, which you sort of get to apply all you've learned and create this. But each week is gonna look sort of similar, where there's a big lecture, and then we break off into these small little breakout rooms. And it's like, there's not gonna be a single week where you're gonna learn how to go from step 0 to like creating that full package, but over time, we're sort of gonna like add in a little more. Like this next time, you're probably gonna have to pre-process your data a little more. So instead of just like saying, oh, here's where all the files are, you're probably gonna have to make those files and then have the correct links and then load those images and stuff like that. And then the next time we'll have you actually create your model and like decide what parameters you want to use and stuff like that. So we're just gonna ramp up, and you'll be all ready for projects when that comes around next semester. Great. Any more questions about that? Otherwise, we're going to talk about what's our like plan for this next week.
Okay, so do you have any like recommended books or kind of papers that we can read to get to know of this knowledge beforehand?
Yeah. So I'd say, first off, reading ahead in the CAIS curriculum. So like next week will be week 2. You want to like read ahead on all of that and sort of get a handle on that would be the best thing. After you've done that, just shoot me a quick text and I can give you a bunch of individual things to look at. What we're doing in week 2 doesn't really have a lot of papers associated with it, but I can give you a million links of different interesting things, because there's a bunch of different ways to make your models more accurate than what we're just going to be teaching you, which is the base. I'm happy to help you along, but it's sort of like you can either put in 0 hours and come to each lecture and you'll be totally fine. Or if you want to go above and beyond and you have time your semester, like we're here to teach you as much as we can in the next, I don't know, what is it, 2 months, 8 weeks? So yeah, on that same vein, if you have time, definitely read the lecture on week 2, just so you sort of have an understanding of some of the terms that are going to be shot at you. It's also worth going into lecture 0, which was the intro to ML math and Python. And that could be a 5-minute read if you know everything in it. But if you see something you don't know, like jump down that rabbit hole, because that's sort of like the base level of stuff you want. So you might need to brush up on your multivariable calculus or something like that. If that's something that you don't remember, because I don't remember any of it. So I'm going to give it a quick read. But other than that, I'm going to send a few fun visualizations of what neural networks can do over the next week. There'll be a lot. They won't be that technical of like what's actually going on behind the scenes, but sort of some of the different applications that we're going to learn how they work. So keep an eye out for that in the Slack channel. Yeah, do you have anything else to add, Nisha?
No, I think that's it. Also, you're welcome to create your own like data for this notebook that we just worked on. So instead of doing like grass, sand, and was it like ocean? Yeah, you can like pick other things that you would want your model to identify, and you can just change the photos inside the data folder if you wanted to see how this classifier works on other images.
And yep. With that, to make your life a little easier, I'm going to add a link. There's a way that you can like go on Google Images and then like zip together like 50 of the photos from when you search like dog. It'll take the first 50 images and zip them together, so you don't have to like manually hit download and move them into the right folder. Like it'll just automatically download a bunch of them. So if you feel like doing that, go right ahead. You'll see that like this image classifier is going to have really, really high accuracy on almost anything that you throw at it, unless it's something really obscure. But like if you want to do like animals of the Sahara, like it will know giraffe, hippo, lion, etc. So yeah, final thing to mention is Radur talked about those office hours. I'm going to be adding mine onto there. That really is just like jump in and ask a question. I'll just be doing homework otherwise. But almost everyone else is as friendly as I am. So feel free to jump in and they'll be able to help you kind of like normal office hours. Yeah, I think that's it. We're going to let you guys go a little early because there's not too much to cover this week. Any more questions, thoughts?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Awesome. Looking forward to this semester, guys. Have a good one.
See you next week.
Yeah.